Pastor or Dr. Raymond Lombard. We are back in the studio today, and we've got some good questions today. Are you ready for it?
Let's do it.
I know you already did some recordings this morning as well as we're shooting.
I did.
We've got some relevant questions. I think it's a great topic today. You can actually see down here what we are talking about. That probably drew you in today. So we would love to invite you to subscribe, like the videos if you love these. These videos on Did You Know? A biblical perspective on the big questions we have. We're asking Dr. Ray, and he always gives us good insights. So.
Can I tell you what happened on Sunday evening? A guy visited his wife from Durban, and he said, Wessel and yourself, Thursday evenings, did you know? Our cell group, we come together, and once the episode has been on air, I mean it's only 25 or 30 minutes, I say then we as a cell group discuss what you guys discussed. So that is our cell group discussion for the evening.
Well, shout out to the cell group because they're probably watching right now.
Yes. Hey, Durban.
So this is going to be
Keep
a good
the curry, we're coming. One day we'll do the curry.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so biblical perspective on what is happening in Israel and Palestine. And so we want to look at what's happening today, what are we seeing today, what's the history. And for us as Christians to really understand, because I actually looked at a few social media things this morning, and loads of Christians don't know really where to step into this question, because on both sides we are seeing terrible things happening with people.
Yes.
And then Christians are now, where do I stand? What do I say?
But you know, Wessel, with the internet, with social media, war is different now than a few years ago. Because now you see people dying. Now emotionally you get involved. Previously only read it in a newspaper, there's a war somewhere in the world. Now everybody see it and they up in arms. I mean, people die both sides in a war.
Well, precisely, nobody wins in a war. So you're just going to see casualties, and it's heartbreaking. But for us as Christians today, how did we get here? What did we see in the history? Where are we going? So we're going to ask you, we're going to go back 2,000 years, and then we want to get back to today, and what are we still going to see? And I think it's going to be interesting.
We should actually go back 4,000 years, 2,000, only halfway back.
Okay, 4,000
4,000 is the exact time to go back, but we won't do that. You said we want to talk just a few words about modern situation right now.
Yeah. How did we get to the whole Palestine-Israel thing playing off over the last
100 years, 75 years, because this thing actually goes back 75 years to this year, 2023. If we go back 75 years, not 22 years. Okay, first, if we go a little bit more back, 50 years, from 22 years, all these rockets, more than 20,000, fall into Israel's territory. Isn't it amazing when we go back into scripture in the Bible? And if I could go back to as far as what we read in the Bible, is when in 2021, what's 2 years ago, I heard, Wessel, I was shocked. I looked at Al Jazeera television station 2 years ago, and Mahmoud Abbas, which is the president of the Palestine movement, okay? He's not the president of Hamas.
Yes.
The jihad, the fighting military wing, Hamas. I'm talking about the Palestine people itself. He's the president, Mahmoud Abbas. And Mahmoud Abbas, to my shock, I heard him on Al Jazeera, you can go and search it, 2021, speaking on television. And he made this declaration. Because I know the Bible, I was blown away. He said, we, the Palestinians, will not go away. We are here to stay. We will be like thorns in you, Israel's sides.
All right.
And I remember that the Lord rebuked Israel when they took in the land of Canaan thousands of years ago. When Joshua went into the land and Moses died on Mount Nebo, and so Joshua had to take them in. And so when Joshua took them in, the 5 cities, Ekron, Gaza, Asdod, Askelon, and Ekron, that 5 cities of the Philistines, they never conquered them. And the Lord said, I am very angry because you didn't do it, because you should have done it. Now, because you did not listen to me, and you did not take the whole land of Canaan to subdue it, and so that the nation of Israel can stay in the land that I promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because that land is given by God to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and their descendants.
Yes.
The Lord said, because you didn't take out these 5 towns, cities, they will be thorns in your sides, and they will be thorns in your eyes. They will always torture you. And now you get this thorns, this mortars flying over the wall.
Also, well, that's massive because in the context and in history and Bible, that's why we're still seeing that play off today. Is that correct?
Yes.
Because we will always speak about this is God gave Israel this area, this land.
Yes.
But then now getting to the scripture, going, they will be forever a thorn in your flesh.
Yes.
And that's what we're still seeing play off today. Until when is that going to play off?
Okay, Luke 21 verse 24 says, and Jerusalem will be trampled by the Gentiles, because they are Gentiles.
Mm-hmm.
Palestinians are Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. So there's a prophecy that Jesus, before the week when Jesus went to the cross, he made this statement. Now this is a very profound statement, and we really need to discuss this, and I don't know if we're going to have time in this program or the next one to discuss it. But so now, 50 years ago, there was also another war, which are called the Yom Kippur War in 1973. And that war, I mean, I saw that war with my own eyes, played out on television and played out in the newspapers and
So
shows.
50 years ago,
That was 50 years ago, there was a war. And that war, it was a terrible war where Israel subdued them again.
Who did Israel subdue?
The Palestinians.
Okay.
And then go back 75 years. So if you go back from 1973, back from today, 75 years, will take us to 1948. Now that's very crucial, because in 1948, on the 14th of May, Ben-Gurion declared Israel to be a nation back in their country after 2,000 years, nearly 2,000 years, dispersed to all the nations of the world.
Yes.
That is the most crucial moment in modern history in the last, well, actually in 2,000 years. That was the greatest news ever in the world. And that was before we were born. That was in 1948. Now, this is a very interesting thing what happened. Because if you understand what happened there in 1948, so there were only 400,000 or 500,000 Jews in Israel.
Sure.
Today, they 6,200,000.
Yeah.
Then, 75 years ago, there were only 500,000-600,000. And immediately when Ben-Gurion declared that we as a nation are back now, the Syrians and the Egyptians immediately went to war with them. Instantly, in hours. 2,000 tanks came from the south, shooting into Israel from Egypt. And Syrians came from the Golan Heights. And Israel had to fight for their life. Men, I was at that kibbutz in the Gaza, where the Palestinians now are.
Yeah.
I was there years ago. And there's tanks at the border. And the Israelis, you had a few men with machine guns keeping tanks back. It was a miracle.
Yeah.
And as they were coming over the Golan Heights, God would protect Israel. So I mean, to this day, as a monument, as a memorial, the tanks are still there. Nobody took it away. Not to the south, to Egypt, and not to the north, in North Galilee, to Golan Heights. I mean, I was there. I saw it with my own eyes.
So what led up to 75 years ago for them to become a national country again?
Yes, because of 1917. In 1917, the Balfour Declaration made by England. Because what happened before that, in the 50 years prior to that, the land belonged to the Ottoman Empire. And so there was discussions in the world, because, it was in 16, 17, 18 that we had the First World War.
Yes.
The First World War. But at that time, England took over the Ottoman Empire in the sense of they have the right now to decide over the land of Israel.
Okay.
And they already in the Balfour Declaration, it was written that Israel will get their country back.
All right.
So it goes back from 1948 to 1970.
So the English were in charge of sort of bringing the Jews back to Israel.
Very powerful.
And then somewhere between what happened with placing them back into Israel and Palestine and two states.
Yes. So in the years prior to that, the 50, 80 years prior to that, the Palestinians start to come into the country and to reside there.
So who are they? Where did they come from?
Yes.
Palestinians.
Yes. So the Palestinians, and we can check it out just now when I want to talk to you about the background of the Palestinians.
Okay.
It is first just important to understand the land and Israel.
Okay.
Because otherwise we will get lost now in it. Because now the question is, why would they get the land back?
Yeah.
It was a God thing. Because here is the thing. Jesus prophesied that Israel in his day, now that will take us back to 2030, 2033, to the year 30, to the year 33. That was when Jesus Christ was crucified.
Yes.
In the week when they crucified Jesus, he made this statement, and he said that Israel, Jerusalem will be trodden by the Gentiles, the temple will be destroyed, Matthew 24, and Israel will be taken to all the nations of the world.
All right.
That was a very profound thing for Jesus to say. Why? Because that has never happened in history. What has happened, they have been taken captive to Babylon, one place, to the east of Israel, and then they return after 70 years.
Okay.
Or they were taken, some of them, to Medo-Persia, which is Iran, Iraq, and to the Persian Gulf, and then they would return.
Yes.
Or under the Grecian Empire, many of them were taken out. And what was then different when the Roman Empire came, in the days of Jesus, 30 years before Jesus Christ, the Roman Empire was established. And the Roman Empire, they were an imperialistic nation, which means we don't take your people out of your land. What we do is, you can stay in your land, but we put in the powers to rule the country, and they will answer to us.
Yeah.
That's called the imperialistic state.
Okay.
So what happened was, that's why you had Pontius Pilate, you had Herod, and everybody answered to the Roman government.
Yes.
Judea, everywhere. So you had all these people in powerful positions in a day when Jesus walked the earth. It was under the imperialistic Roman Empire. Not under Babylon, not under Medo-Persia or Greece. It was the Roman Empire. And the Romans, very, very interesting, they called it the Roman Pax. There was no war. After they conquered the world, it was a time of peace and tranquility.
Yeah.
And they built the roads.
They owned everything.
Exactly. And that's why you get the Roman roads. Connect Asia. They connect the Middle East to Europe and the Middle East to Africa. And now you have one language, because Alexander the Great wanted Greek to be the language of the world. So now you have everybody, it's like English today.
Yeah.
Everybody can speak English. So now you have the language, Hellenistic, the Greek language. You have the roads, you have the Romans. And Jesus made this profound declaration. Because you reject me, the Son of God, because you're going to crucify me, Jerusalem is going to be destroyed. You will be killed. The temple will be destroyed. It's destroyed to this day.
Mm-hmm.
There will be no sacrifice, no offering anymore to this day. And you will be dispersed to all the nations of the world. That's what makes it different. Yeah. And it was like that.
Yeah.
But in 1948, from all the nations in the world, Israel came back to their country.
So literally almost for 2,000 years after Jesus said it, Israelites, the Jews, just got dispersed across the world.
So literally, if you want to go to the date, you can go to 70 after Christ.
Okay.
Because that is when the Roman Empire, when the Roman warlord Titus, when he dispersed and killed the Jews, they crucified them. I was many times in Israel on Mount of Olives.
Yeah.
There's no more olive trees except the fear and Garden of Gethsemane. There were thousands of trees, and they crucified thousands of Israels on the Mount of Olives, thousands.
Sure.
And you had Masada, and what happened in Masada in the desert, been there. But now, here's the long and the short of it all. So now Israel is back. Now we have to go back from the time of Jesus. We have to go 2,000 years back. That's why I said you can't go 2,000. You actually have to go 4,000. That will take us all the way back to the days of Abraham. Because this is where everything started.
Okay, but before we get to Abraham, we might speak about that on the second episode, because I still want to understand, and hopefully everybody here also wants to understand, is what was the call to Israel coming back and becoming a state? What happened? It's 2,000 years of dispersion.
Yes.
And then?
Because the Lord said, in the last days, I will bring my people back into my land.
Okay.
So that triggers the end time Bible prophecies.
Okay.
Because God said, when the last days come onto this world, I will bring my people back to their land, the land of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So that is why the last 75 years, we have speed up with so much power into the last days.
So that's what I wanted to understand. That's part of a biblical prophecy.
Absolutely. It's fulfillment.
The Jews will start coming back
in
to
the
Israel.
last days.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so now we've seen that starting to happen.
Yes, they're there. Okay, now you say starting to happen. This is also very interesting. And maybe we can go back in another program about Abraham and so on because of time. But yes, but you're absolutely spot on. Because now, so what you see is, okay, how many Jews in the world today? Maybe 13, 14 million. How many back in their nation? 50% plus minus. So in other words, 6.2, 6.3 million Jews back in their nation, which means we've bridged now that sort of just touching on half of all the Israelites, Jews living in the whole world today. Half of them are back in their country. Yes. Now, what is amazing is when the war broke out with Putin, when Putin started making war to the Ukraine, many Jews flee back to their nation.
Yes.
And today, because of what's going on in Gaza, Benjamin Netanyahu told his reservists, I want you back. So 360,000, going up to 400,000 of his soldiers all around the globe and everywhere and in his country are called up to come and help. And they're flying in from all over the planet.
And that's the same as what happened in the war 50 years ago, the war called?
Yes.
What was it called? Yom Kippur?
Yom Kippur, yes.
Then you also saw a lot of Jews going back, fighting for Israel.
Yes. So what is very interesting is when the First World War broke out, there's always Jewish anti-Semitism, Jewish hate. They flee back to their country. When the Second World War ended, in 1946, 1947, and 1948, Jews went back to their country. So every time there's wars in the world, the Jews return to their country.
Yeah.
So,
and every time that is a fulfilling of a prophecy for,
getting them back,
for Jews coming back to Israel.
Because, I mean, some of them have a good life outside of Israel. They lived a good life.
Yes.
Now, they have to go back to their own nation, being bogged down in that small little hole. Everybody has to make a living.
Yeah.
But this is God's way. So all these civil wars in the world, many of it, actually caused the Jews to go back.
Yeah.
And when somebody wants to make war with Israel, the real Jews, they will go back and fight for their land.
All right.
It draws them also back.
Yeah. Because you have, maybe we should touch on this for the last 5 minutes, just the difference between the two types of Jews you still get in the world. Messianic Jews, who believes in Jesus.
Sure.
And then does that play a different part for them returning to Israel, or?
So yes, you're quite right. So you have the Orthodox Jews, which is the books of Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, which is the Jews that hold on to the law of Moses. They are in a smaller capacity, part of the Jewish nation, and they are the backbone of Israel as a nation. Then you have your socialist Jewish state where they don't believe in God.
Okay.
And then you have the Messianic Jews. Now, the Messianic Jews, they believe in Jesus Christ as the Son of God. So currently today in Israel, right now, as I speak to you, you have like maybe, according to Amir, I had a chat with him some time ago. We visited and we had a talk. Around about 50,000 Messianic Jews in Israel.
Okay.
About 120 congregations, Jewish Messianic congregations. So of 6.2 million Jews in the country of Israel, only 50,000 believe in Jesus Christ as the Son of God.
Sure.
And that is the Messiah. But that number is much larger in America and around the globe. So we're not taking that into consideration. We only talk about in the land of Israel as it is today.
So, end time prophecies to be fulfilled.
Yes.
You're going to have all these Jewish people coming back to Israel.
Absolutely.
Only 50,000 are saved
Today.
Messianic Jews.
Sure.
So
inside the country.
Yeah, so how do you see that as part of fulfillment of, okay, Jews are back in Israel, the rapture happens.
Right. So rapture
Why
happens,
does it have to happen like that?
When the rapture happens, that 50,000 is gone.
Yeah.
And the others that are saved, that's part of the church, they're gone around the globe. So all is left over is Israel in unbelieving state, don't believe in God as they should, and of course your Orthodox Jews.
Yeah.
Then many Jews' eyes is going to open up because of the 144,000 Jews that yes, because their eyes will open the days after the rapture.
So is that why God is calling them back, so that He sort of wants them all there to?
Well, they have to be there for Jesus for His second coming. Let's think about it. Let me ask you a question. Do you think Jesus Christ will come back to earth if the nation of Israel is not in Israel and come and stand on the mountain and there's nobody to greet Him?
Yeah, because He's coming back for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to come back for them, He must get them back in the nation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And
So
we
this
are
is what-
seeing that already happening.
And it's
they're coming. They're
exploded.
coming.
Exactly.
All righty.
Exactly.
There we go.
So there can't be a second coming. There can't be a rapture if the Jews don't go back to their nation.
So God's calling Jews back to Israel.
Go. If a Jew's listening to me, go back to your country. Go back.
Because that's a fulfilling of what is to come.
No, it has to be.
Okay, crazy.
Yes. So this is what's making our world so exciting today.
Yeah.
Yes. But now this text, and Jerusalem will be trampled by Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. In other words, they're not going to have the good life.
So the times of the Gentiles to be fulfilled means the end of the 7-year tribulation.
Which the Antichrist is the last king of the Gentiles. Yes. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
So if I would ask you, who is the last world leader of the Gentile nations? Your answer should be the Antichrist. Absolutely. So in other words, when the Antichrist comes, he will be the last one to lord over Israel, leading the Gentile nations against Israel. Yes. And that's when Jesus appears.
Alrighty. Well, I think we're at a good spot now for the next episode to go back 4,000 years ago.
So we can go to the start.
And to come back to, we sort of started at the end.
Yes.
To be able to go back to the start.
Yes, and because what is very important in our next program, Bessel, we should talk about who does the land of Israel really belong to and why.
Yeah.
I mean, what is all this fuss about right now?
Well, I think 4,000 years ago will sort of inform what happens right now.
Let's do that.
Okay. Are you guys ready for the next episode? Well, in 7 days it will be on.
Let's do it.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today. I hope that started to give you a more biblical perspective on what is happening relevant now to Israel and Palestine. It's helping me to sort of get some context. I hope it's helped everyone else to get some context. And then next week we'll go back 4,000 years and we'll fill the picture in.
Exactly. So we can have a total biblical perspective.
Yes. Amazing. Well, like and subscribe. Thanks for joining in today and share this with your friends, and see you in the next episode.